What's going on? Good Tuesday afternoon. Meteorologist Steve Fundera here, hanging in the digital center on a nice day today. Some clouds are filtered into the region. Looking out towards Nags Head, there's been some great waves moving into our coastline from the Outer Banks up to about the southern Virginia Beach area. Some fun waves out there. Surfers really enjoying it. But the elevated risk of rip currents is most certainly present, and we're likely going to see rough conditions on our waterways through the rest of the day today, throughout Wednesday, and then through the rest of the week, really all the way up to about Saturday. We'll have some rough surf and seas with an elevated risk of rip currents. The waves we're looking at now are coming from the tropical system Franklin, Hurricane Franklin. That is a textbook major hurricane on the satellite picture. It is passing by us here in Hampton Roads by over 300 miles over the next couple of days, missing Bermuda barely. It's going to kind of take like a Goldilocks path and just race off to the northeast, staying out in the Atlantic. It continues to bring in the waves, though, through tomorrow, and there'll be plenty of windows to get some good surf if you are a surfer, but advanced surfers and experienced swimmers at best too, as the conditions remain rough. But let's get to Hurricane Idalia, because this one is the one making all the headlines, as the landfall is expected within 18 hours or so for the Big Bend area of Florida, anywhere really between Cedar Key, where there's been some mandatory evacuation orders, around to about the Apalachicola area. So kind of fine-tuning that zone where landfall is expected and life-threatening storm surge. This thing's going to cause some issues. So check in on your friends and family on the Gulf Coast of Florida, in northern Florida, even central Florida for that matter, as there'll be some bands of tropical rain and maybe some severe weather on top of it. So busy day coming up for Floridians tomorrow. Now, this thing will make its way to the north over the next day and a half. There's that landfall around Wednesday morning. Now, for us here at home, we are going to see some impacts from what's left of this system, but the system has got to run into a couple of fronts. There's a stationary front sitting over us as we speak for the day today, and then there is an approaching cool front, which moves in on Wednesday. This kicker cool front, so to speak, is keeping both Idalia and Franklin out at sea, essentially, or to our south, essentially, is what I should say, keeping them to our south, and in a way, helping to steer Idalia. Idalia will actually make its way up the coastline throughout Wednesday, and then clashes with that approaching cool front on Thursday. For us here at home, that creates a real wet and windy kind of day. Onshore wind that's persistent from Wednesday night throughout the day on Thursday. So what do we expect here in Hampton Roads? Nothing major. Wet and windy day on Thursday, cloudy, on and off showers here or there. It's not going to be raining from start to finish, but kind of just on and off showers for Hampton Roads. Could be even drier up towards the peninsulas and the eastern shore. It'll be pretty blustery, though. Wind gusts along the coastline will be upwards of 30-ish miles an hour, and that could elevate the high tide in the afternoon on Thursday. So there could be some minor tidal flooding in spots Thursday afternoon. It's a different story, though, for the Outer Banks in northeastern North Carolina. That's where the heavy rain is going to be. That's where the potential flooding will be from some of that heavy rain. That's where the wind is going to be. There could be some wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour, especially out in the Outer Banks. And it's kind of just setting up like a nor'easter, a nor'easter that the Outer Banks have been through time and time again. Nor'easter that the Outer Banks typically sees beach erosion and some ocean overwash, though. So there will be some issues on NC-12 on the high tide cycles on Thursday afternoon with that wind, maybe 3+ inches of rain in a couple spots as well. Something to look out for, something to keep in mind in the Outer Banks, but it'll be a day of that, and then it moves out later on Thursday. The tropical storm watch goes up to about Wilmington on the coastline. I wouldn't be surprised if these watches and warnings, the tropical storm watches and warnings, get extended further north to Ocracoke and Hatteras. Maybe tonight those are issued. Definitely Wednesday they'll be issued, but they'll be issued for Thursday's weather. And that's the timing as we see the system move in on Thursday for the Outer Banks. So there's Franklin off towards the west, churning just as a swell and wave machine. Look at the eye on this system from afar. It is a textbook major hurricane. And then down in the Gulf of Mexico, the healthy Hurricane Idalia strengthening more and will potentially become that major hurricane upon landfall on Wednesday. Now here's a stationary front across Hampton Roads. there's the cool front. Those two things playing a big role about where Idalia goes. So the stationary front over top of us today is keeping some clouds around. It's not a totally sunny day, and it's also keeping it really muggy. If you've not noticed, it's pretty humid outside today. A couple showers are trying to pop up in parts of the Outer Banks there to try and rain on some of the surfers down there, but really we only get a pop-up shower here or there. More clouds throughout our day, mid-80s, humid, not that bad of a Tuesday. We'll manage. Tomorrow, a nicer day with some sun, better chance at a late day shower or two as the cool front moves in. Could be warmer too, since we'll be ahead of that approaching cool front. We can see highs maybe in the upper 80s or so. Cool front gets close to the region by about lunchtime, so it helps kickstart a couple spotty showers from about lunchtime into the evening commute. Then the front drops to the south, stalls out right across, let's say, the state line, Virginia, North Carolina state line, and then here comes what's left of Idalia up the coastline, and it provides just a wet and windy day on Thursday because you've got that squeeze between the front and the tropical system, but the front will likely keep all that heavy rain down to the south, primarily for the Outer Banks and those across the Albemarle Sound, northeast North Carolina. Winds don't really tend to pick up until about Thursday morning, and those wind gusts will be along the coastline. So breezy for Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina Thursday morning, and then windy for the Outer Banks, and really for most of us, as we'll get some wind gusts maybe to 40, 50 miles an hour. Look at Kill Devil Hills, Currituck, wind gusts 45, 50. So blustery conditions, windy conditions coming up on Thursday, but most of the rain, I'll show you here on Future Track, is going to be for northeastern North Carolina. Tuesday afternoon, today, looks pretty good. Just that spotty shower or two, all the way up until about tomorrow morning. Looks great for most of our Wednesday. Clouds will be increasing. It'll be a beautiful morning, too. Nice afternoon, just muggy, warm, spotty shower here or there. A couple more into the evening commute. This is as the front drops into the region, stalls to our south. Then here comes some of the rain from Idalia. All that heavy rain likely going to be confined just south of the state line for northeast North Carolina. Kind of on and off showers here or there for the Hampton Roads region, and it could be just dry and cloudy for the peninsulas. Rain kind of persistent through the afternoon, and then it tends to move out. And then later Thursday into Friday, system pulls away, moves offshore, and we're talking about maybe just a couple lingering showers early Friday and a beautiful weekend. Highs holding in the 70s with a fresh breeze Friday afternoon, near 80 on Saturday with lower humidity. Can't beat this weekend forecast on Saturday and Sunday. Just pay attention if you're in the Outer Banks to the weather on Thursday. Going to cause some issues on NC-12 again. Some of the beaches getting beat up with that wind and heavy rain. But here in Hampton Roads, just going to be a blustery, kind of gloomy Thursday for us. We'll update you as conditions warrant and as we get the latest information from Hurricane Idalia as conditions warrant and as the afternoon progresses. Again, we'll keep you guys posted on air and online on wavy.com.